gracious.
We got a mic here. Coach, back right on the side.
Back right. Hey, Nick, good morning.
Morning.
Good afternoon, whatever it is. You guys started 2-2, and I think you're 15-1 since. What kind of magic did you come up with during the bye week, and what has it been like kind of finding the identity of your team throughout the season?
Yeah, this game and anything worthwhile in this world is not instant gratification. It takes getting better every single day. And that's really what we did. We put our head down. You know, we felt like we had a great training camp, and it didn't start the way we envisioned it. But, you know, we just continued to work and continued to put the work in and put our head down and go and, you know, and just continually got better. And I think we're playing our best ball now. So it's because of these guys just, you know, with that constant effort of how to get better.
All right, on the aisle here, halfway back.
Hi, Coach. Can you talk about Eric Dickerson, how he's grown as a coach and how he's helped this offense?
Yeah, a great question. I love to talk about Eric. Eric's been here with us for 4 years. Man, he works really hard. Always in there. I mean, he's in there at all hours of the night and in there early, all hours of the night, working through it. He's been on our defensive side of the staff. Our defensive staff. He's been with our offensive staff for the past 3 years. I know he has. He's worked with our wide receivers. He's worked with our offensive line. He's worked with our tight ends, and then he's a former offensive lineman himself. So he just has a wide variety of things that he can do and coach. And I just have the utmost respect for him of how hard he works and this team thing, right? This game of football is the greatest team sport there is. And it takes everybody to be successful. And that's just not with the players, right? Player 1 through player 71. But it's also with the coaches. And we cannot be great as a team without the greatness and the efforts of other people. And Eric does so many things behind the scenes, as well as our other quality control coaches and assistant position coaches. And Eric just does so many good things to help us get ready for games and the thankless jobs, and I'm actually really happy you asked me about that because I love, you know, being able to talk about him, a guy that doesn't get a lot of attention, but again, it takes everybody, and we can't be great at our jobs without the greatness of others, and that sure shows with Eric and the players and the coaching staff.
All right, John Clark back on the right-hand side.
Nick, last night Jalen Hurts said that Super Bowl loss 2 years ago kind of lit a fire in him, and you've seen the veterans kind of have that same mentality, and then you see a group of younger players on this team. Seems like they have followed that mission as well. How have you seen the veterans and the leaders lead the younger guys and then follow your veterans?
You know, I think adversity does something to you, right? And if you embrace adversity, it can shape you to who you are. And obviously that's been the case through Jalen and his career. But it is about embracing adversity. This game's not easy, and this game has its ups and downs. And, you know, that's how a football game, you know, seasons have ups and downs. From year to year has ups and downs. Well, that's how a football game goes, right? And nobody in the NFL, I've said this a bunch, nobody in the NFL pitches a perfect game. That doesn't exist in the NFL. You're going to have bad plays. You're going to have good plays. And it's about being able to focus your mindset on the next one. And so, like I said, again, this team's embraced adversity. I don't think, you never know, but, you know, the things even going back to the 2023 season, which we haven't talked a lot about since the beginning of the year, we're grateful for that. We're thankful for that. As bad as it sucked at the time, I know I'm grateful for that. I speak for myself. I'm grateful for that because it shaped us into who we are now, and why a big reason why we're back here sitting at this moment again. And so, embracing adversity is huge, and you know, for your development as a person, as a player, as a coach.
Over here on the left side, Jeff McClain.
Nick, 2 years ago, Jason Kelsey was responsible for pre-snap calls versus the blitz against Kansas City. Now that Jalen Hurts is, what kind of challenges does Steve Spagnuolo's blitz packages force a quarterback when he has to throw hot?
Yeah, you know, obviously, no matter who's responsible for protection calls against the Steve Spagnuolo defense, it creates issues and challenges. At the end of the day, with a defense like the one we're playing with the great players that they have. And I just can't say enough about their coaching staff and the players that they have. I have the utmost respect for them, and obviously they've been doing this at a very high level, at the best level in the NFL for multiple years now. But I think what's important in those moments against teams like that is you have to play your rules. You have to be ready to adjust, and you have to be on the same page. Now, that's easier said than done. They make it challenging for you. But this is what you prepare for in training camp. This is what you prepare for during OTAs, and meaning you play your rules and you adjust to the different things that are coming at you. And when you're good on offense, my experience has been is when you're good on offense, you watch the tape, you get ready for the tape, but you got to expect the unexpected, and that's the definition of his defense, of the confusion that he creates. So we'll have to be on it. We've had a good week and a half of preparation so far. We got to finish that off to give us an opportunity to be successful against him.
We've got Sam Farmer, right side, middle.
Nick, I'm interested in your relationship with Larry Karras over the years and sort of what you've drawn from him, how he maybe helped mold you as a coach.
Yeah, I've known Coach Karras since I've been 10 years old. Both my brothers played football for him in college. Then I kind of followed in their footsteps and did the same. So, Coach Karras, I have great parents that have taught me so much. And then, you go away from home for the first time, away from those strong parents that I have. And he's like, a dad away from home there. And, it's not just me. There's so many coaches over the state of Ohio. There's so many coaches, from Tommy Manning with the Indianapolis Colts, who played for him, Matt Campbell, Jason Candle. I mean, I could go on and on. All the guys that played for him that he's helped develop us, and I think the main thing, a couple big things I learned from him was that connection, and just caring about his players. I always felt like, how much he cared about me. He was always trying to get me better, and that doesn't mean. I have a lot of stories of how many times I got yelled at as well. So just because, he cares for me doesn't mean that he's not extremely demanding. And I would say that's the other thing, the demand, just extremely demanding in the detail of the game of football, as a coach, as a player. And when I talk about my core values, as far as, for the Eagles and my envision of when I got the head job of what it was always about toughness, detail, and together. And, I mentioned him being, together and detailed. So two of the three that we really talk about a lot. And I know he's tough as heck, and he had us to be tough. So really all of them, but owe him a lot. And, there's a lot of coaches when you get your opportunity to be a head coach. I was fortunate enough to have a lot of coaches take me under their wing and kind of help me, starting with my dad, my brothers, Coach Karras. I can't tell you how many times Frank Reich, when I was his offensive coordinator, or even when I was his quarterback coach and he was the offensive coordinator, how many times he would be like, hey, when you get in this situation, here's this. I mean, that felt like a daily occurrence. And so just very grateful for all the coaches that I've had that have took a liking to me, or whatever, however you want to say it, to help me grow.
All right, front left here, Elliot.
Nick, Jeff Stoutland said last night that it was your idea during an OTAs to try Mekhi Becton at guard. I'm curious, what did you see in him that you thought he could do it? And then also, he's been a player that after each win this year, it seems like it's emotional for him because he hasn't had a lot of winning in his career. What's it been like for you to watch him go on that journey to the Super Bowl?
Yeah, I think we all saw that Mekhi had a lot of talent, and we knew that we were, pretty set there at the tackle spots with Jordan and Lane, and just the contributions that they've made and the players that they've been for the duration of their career. And we had a battling spot there for the guard, and we talked about it as coaches. We talked about it. I talked about it with Howie. Just everything. Every good idea comes from collaboration and communication with each other. So, I can't say that, hey, that was my idea. Stout said that, but I know we came together with that as a staff. And with Howie and his staff as well. means a lot when, I'm emotional, as you guys know. And so, at the end of games, and I think sometimes when I say I'm emotional, you kind of think of different things, but I can't tell you how many times after a game I'm overcome with emotion, with just everything. And I love when other players are like that too. And so Mekhi and I have had some really awesome embraces after games. And I love about Mekhi that, there's been games where he's just been exhausted and his body just is tired and limping off the field after a score, but had that smile on his face and had that connection with his teammates of, man, I just gave everything up for you guys. I did, and I love that about him of just, man, he's giving it up for his teammates. He truly loves his teammates. His teammates love him, and he's been a great addition, obviously, to this team for this year.
I'm sorry, front row right here in the white sweatshirt.
Coach Sirianni, obviously you faced this team a couple of years ago in the Super Bowl. Pretty familiar in terms of personnel, but in terms of the way they attack offensively, it seems like things have changed. They were a really high-octane, explosive offense a few years back. This year it's more of a ground-and-pound, situational football. Death by 1,000 paper cuts, as I described it to Coach Reed. What do you see when you turn on the tape, the differences between that 2022 KC squad and this year's 2024, maybe a little bit more defensive-oriented squad?
We've played every year that I've been the head coach. We've played Kansas City 21, 22, 23, and now here in 24. What I see on tape is I see – just the detail. Again, I have so much respect for the players that they have. They have top-notch players. And then I have so much respect for Coach Reed and his staff of the detail. I think the detail kind of oozes off the tape with the way they run block, with the way they, are always on the same page. I can't tell you how much respect I have for that. But you have to be ready to prepare for everything, knowing that they have one of the best players of all time on the other side with Mahomes. And they can do it many different ways. And so you have to be ready for all different types of things. It's always going to be about stopping the run, limiting the big plays, tackling well, getting off blocks well, coming after the football well. And so we know we'll have our work cut out for us, but again, it's going to be that detail that we have to they'll have to match us and we'll have to match them as far as the detail goes, because I see two teams that are highly detailed and highly skilled that are about to battle against each other.
All right, gentlemen, over here on the left side.
Hey, Nick.
Hey, Zach.
I'm curious, you talked about you're emotional a couple minutes ago. How has your personality changed, or maybe your approach changed from everything you guys have been through the last 4 years?
Yeah, someone asked me about just the culture and how that, and your core values, how does that change? Well, your core values don't change. It's who you are. It's what you believe in. And so you stay true to that, the toughness detailed together. And I think it's really the same. It doesn't mean you don't grow, but those stay the same. And I think that's the same thing with your personality. It doesn't mean you don't grow in areas that you want to improve on, but if you start to be somebody and act like somebody that you're not, I think the players see through that. You have to be genuine and you have to be who you are, because shoot, I'm in here a heck of a lot more than I'm at home. And so at some point, if I'm not being true to myself while still growing, then they're going to know, that I'm being a fraud. So I think it's just so important that you stay true to yourself and you grow. I ask the players to try to get better every single day, and that's what I try to do as well. And that can be from anything from, I think there's a time to show your emotion and there's a time not to show your emotion. I think I've gotten better at that as the years have went on. But to say I'm going to stop being excited when we score a touchdown, all the work, or stop being excited after a win with everything that we lay on the line to do so, or that I'm not going to yell to correct or yell to praise. That's just not who I am. And it's hard to, again, you're always trying to improve and get better. But then there's some 43 years of habits that sometimes are hard to break.
Back right side here.
Coach, good afternoon. you and Andy Reid have had a lot of success in this league, and you kind of touched upon it earlier about him being so detailed. But from one coach looking at another coach, why do you think Andy's been so successful?
Yeah, obviously I've got to work with guys that have been around Coach Reid, you know, and just hearing his stories of, again, his detail that, you know, that he could coach every position on the field and call the defense, call the offense, be the special teams coordinator, just how much information and knowledge that he has. I think you can tell he deeply cares about his players. And, you know, those are the things, you know, not ever have been around him that I can kind of to look and admire, because I do like to study great coaches. And obviously I've looked, you know, I will always ask, hey, what would Andy have done in this situation if I'm talking to somebody that's been around him? And I'll do the same. I would do the same thing with guys that had been around Coach Belichick, you know, all those different guys, because you're constantly trying to learn. So just have the utmost respect for him. I mean, I would say he's had a lot more success. He said we both have success. He's had a lot more success than I have. That's 300 wins is wow. I can't. It's an honor to go against him. To be in a game that, you know, I'm coaching our team and he's coaching his team. It's just an honor to be there. And like I said, just nothing but respect for Coach Reid and everything that he's accomplished.
All right, we've got time for two more. Gentlemen here on the left middle.
Congratulations, Coach, for getting back to the big game. I have a two-part question. Number one, let's talk about your off-season moves with the coaching staff. You added Kellen Moore and Vic Fangio. Tell me how you feel about the way those moves have worked out. And then the second part to that question is, how much has Kellen Moore meant to your offense, knowing full well that he may be on borrowed time, that he eventually will get a head coaching job?
Yeah. Obviously, both guys have meant a ton to us. You know, again, you can't be great without the greatness of others. Coaches to players, players to coaches, coach to coach, player to player. And so both guys have done a phenomenal job. I think, you know, I said this early in the year. I think we've hit, you know, this was during like training camp, and just see the detail that they coach with. Obviously, you know, I spent a lot of time with them, you know, knowing the guys a little bit, and then in the interview process, and then also in OTAs. And I think we hit 2 home runs with those hires there. You know, anytime, you know, and again, we're focused on this game. Kellen's focused on this game. I'm focused on this game, not really thinking about anything else other than this game, because every little bit of attention that you put into something else is attention you're not putting into what the main goal is. And so, you know, with Kellen, and I know that there's, you know, opportunities potentially, you know, what happens will happen. But hopefully I've done my job to teach him the things that I know and help him like other coaches have helped me as far as that goes. But I know that when Kellen does get his opportunity, I think he's highly detailed in teaching the game of football. I think that he loves this game. He works extremely hard. He's got a great offensive mind to help our guys, to put our guys in positions to succeed and get better. And man, he's a phenomenal person, great person to work with. That's so important, right? When we're spending more time with each other than we are with our families, our wives, our kids, it's important that you have good people around. And he, you know, as good of a football coach as he is, he's even a better person. So got a lot of respect there, and for Kellen, and we'll see how that plays out at the end of the year.
All right, last question, second row.
Bob always, for you guys that aren't normally with us, Bob usually cuts us off, and then I'm the nice guy, and I'll say, does anybody else have 1 or 2 more? So we'll do the same thing there. All right.
Hey, Nick. As a head coach, you've got to make a lot of tough decisions. 2 things. What do you expect out of players after you make that tough decision? And I'm thinking of Jalen Hurts, who was benched in a national championship game. He's come all the way back. What do you think about that, how he's reacted to a tough decision?
Yeah, you know, you as a coach, it's really important that the job description is very clear. Here's what the job description is. Here's what it looks like when we're meeting the job description. And I'm talking about plays on the field and off the field. And here's what it looks like, what it doesn't look like. And you have to paint that picture, and everybody's held to the standard of what that looks like, and you coach off of that. Yeah, in head coaching profession, you know, there's not a handbook that says, hey, here's exactly what you should do in this situation. Every situation's different. Every scenario is different. You may have handled a situation similar one time that you're going to handle differently the other time. You're always and constantly thinking about what you can do for the betterment of the football team. Always, and the individual that you're making the decision with, you're always thinking about that. And sometimes that's going to be, again, sometimes decisions are 50-50, and that's leadership. Sometimes half the public or the team is going to agree with you. Sometimes the other half's not, right? But that's leadership, and that's the choice we made when we entered this profession. As far as your question about Jalen, I think, again, I mentioned this earlier, that we all have these moments in our life where we have adversity, and again, adversity is not going to hide from, it's coming after everybody. No one's hiding from it. And it's about how you respond. It's about how you react. It's about embracing that adversity, knowing that when you do that, it can help make you better. And so look at Jalen, he's such a winner. He's won everywhere he's went. That moment, and now he's starting in his second Super Bowl. So I think the writing's on the wall that Jalen embraced every piece of adversity that he's hit, and it's made him better. Again, you can ask him about all that, but I just see a guy that does that, obviously knowing his story, and then I see a guy that does that in the midst of each game. And you have to be able to do that at the quarterback position. Shoot, you have to be able to do that at every position in the game of football. And so just admire the heck out of him, how he embraced that adversity, because, again, it shaped him to who he is.
All right, left side here, second row.
Hey, Coach. Good afternoon. Speaking of Jalen, based on how efficient your passing game was in the NFC Championship, what did you learn about the capabilities of your passing offense going to this one?
Yeah, just like Jalen says, just because we don't do something doesn't mean we can't. We'll win we're going to look to win any way we can. I've never doubted our passing game with the people that we have there, with the coaches that we have there, with the players that we have there. So, there have been games that have been dictated differently this year. If we need to run it 50 times and pass it once, we will to win. If we need to do vice versa, we will. And we really don't care what anybody else thinks. Our job is to win games and try to win games the best way we can for our team. And like I said, just because Jalen said it, and I loved it, just because we haven't done something doesn't mean we can't.
All right, last one, back right.
Hi, Nick. Andrea Sola from TV Azteca, Mexico. Nice
Hi.
to meet you.
Nice to meet you.
I have a question for you. If you have to tell me 3 things that Philadelphia is better at than Kansas, what would you say?
Philadelphia better than Kansas City. Well, I've lived in both places. I started my coaching career in Kansas City. My wife is from Kansas City, from the Missouri area, not from Missouri, not Kansas City. So I got to be careful here if I'm there. But both great places. They're both great places. But I love Philadelphia. We love the food in Philadelphia. We love our sports teams. Love being a Sixers fan now and a Phillies fan, and a Flyers fan. And then, shoot, I didn't have Bob and Dom in Kansas City, so those 2 guys there as well.
All right, thank you, folks.
Thank you.